There's nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. Nothing you can make that can't be made. No one you can save that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. Nothing you can know that isn't known. Nothing you can see that isn't shown. There's nowhere you can be that isn't where you're meant to be. It's easy. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our maths webinar. Today we are going to be looking at what does maths look like within FS1 and FS2, but also as parents, how you can support your children at home with lots of tips. So just moving on to the next slide now. We know that making mistakes allow thinking to happen. And I think this is really important for us to consider, as we've all been through school and we all know how maths can make us feel. So we really need to build our children in being very confident in maths of such an early age. And so today I'm going to hand it over now to Miss Sasha. Sasha Quinn, should I say? Need to get that right. There you go. And let's mistakes are allowed.
Hi everyone, I'm Miss Sasha, and you probably recognise our faces a lot from around the foundation stage building, but Miss Hannah and I are here to talk to you today about expectations. So I'm just going to go through lots of things that we've been doing in the foundation stage and our aims for this session. So I am trying to move my slide. Okay, so we use White Rose with our maths across the board in foundation stage, but I will talk a little bit more about that on one of our next slides. But today in FS1, we will be talking about expectations. What does maths look like in the foundation stage 1, and what does maths look like in foundation stage 2? And then we're going to be looking at tips and tricks for FS1 and FS2. Okay, so as I was talking about White Rose, this is something that we follow as teachers across the board, and you'll be able to see elements of this in your children's classrooms when you drop off in the morning or when you pick up in the afternoons. And we really follow this quite well, but we also amend it to suit the needs of all our children at school. So the things like subitizing, your children might come home and say, I've been subitizing today. And obviously White Rose then tells you a little bit about what subitizing is. And they might come home and say, oh, we've been comparing and we've been ordering our numbers. And also White Rose tells you a little bit more about this. Sorting and matching, counting, composition. So these are key. This is key vocabulary that we use throughout the foundation stage, but White Rose makes the teachers use this for their planning and for their activities at school. So on the White Rose website, you will find it on Google White Rose Maths, and you can have a little look at the early years side of it, and it has lots of little resources that are free for you to download and look at. And there's also some the planning formats and things that you can see that your teacher might be using at school with your child. So we will give that when we send out this presentation to you at the end of the session, and we'll give you the links that you can use and follow to find all this lovely information. Okay, so that was a little bit about White Rose Maths. And yes, so I'm going to pass you on to Miss Hannah now, and she's going to talk about the expectations and the goals of Foundation Stage 1.
Right, so what we're going to talk about now is what the aim of at the end of the year for the majority of the children. What we have to be very aware is that we know what we say always, every child is different. So this is what we kind of hope for, or what we'd like the majority, knowing that learning as a whole it doesn't always go in a linear kind of direction. So this is what we aim for. And again, I just want to clarify that, not all children might get there, and some children might be even further on. So I'm just going to go through. So number, we would like the children to recognise and count to numbers to 10, with the numbers to 10. Rote counting to 5, shape recognition and some simple 2D shapes, subitizing to 5, counting 1-to-1 correspondence. And as you can see, there's some additional key skills there. So what we're going to do, we're going to move on now and actually see what this looks like within the classroom. As you can see, the little boy there is starting to do pattern work with the different colours. As you can think of patterns can come in any shape, size, and how. So you could probably use, I don't know what we could use. We've had shells and then different stones, so you could practice putting them in different patterns and shapes. And then also with the other side there, we're doing a lot of sorting by colour. So that's just a few examples there. Using an abacus is a real key kind of skill. So moving and counting, 1-to-1 correspondence, but also recognising and ordering. You can use multiple of different, we've got little stones there, where learning how to count in order and recognising, which is a very key skill. Here we've got some examples of how you might be using shapes within the environment, recognition, making shape pictures, but also ordering. Obviously orders 1 to 10 there as well, but also actually what does 10 look like, 1-to-1 correspondence. I'm going to hand over to you now, Miss Sasha.
Okay, so now we've looked at Foundation Stage 1, we're going to have a little look at Foundation Stage 2. But as you can see, they overlap in Foundation, and obviously that's why we are called the Foundation Stage, because your child might be able to do things and elements of Foundation Stage 2. They might be able to do the Foundation Stage 1 element. So obviously we're here today to talk about the whole Foundation Stage. So I'd say there's, like our expression, no lids on kids. If your children are ready to go and roll, then obviously we can still look at the Foundation Stage 2 elements as well. So lots of you might be aware, or you might know of, that we did change over our curriculum to our new mathematical curriculum for this year. So we as teachers are really excited, and it's been absolutely amazing to see the children's journey through the mathematics the last 2 terms of school. So at the end of Foundation Stage 2, they will achieve something called the Early Learning Goal. It's called ELG for short. And this is something that from when they enter FS1 all the way to FS2, they will achieve the Early Learning Goal before they go on to the national curriculum, which is year 1 to year 6. So this is really important, and it's something that we really pride ourselves on at school, to make sure these children have got all these key elements and key skills. So I won't bore you with all of these lovely bullet points, because there is quite a lot. It's a little bit maths heavy, but I will go through some of them that I think are really important and things that you can do at home to support these. So in number, just like in Foundation Stage 1, it's having a deeper understanding of numbers to 10. So Miss Hannah was saying before that the recognition numbers and the matching, so the counting the correct amount and matching them to the correct numeral. So if you had 5 little ducks, matching them to number 5 pot. So things like that are the same, but in FS2 we go deeper into that learning, and we think about, say, number 7, and we'd look at number 7 for a day, and we'd find different ways of making 7. We'd use different resources and materials to find out about number 7. So I think it's really delving deeper into those numbers to 10 and not rushing ahead and saying, oh, my child knows all the numbers to 10, we're going to learn to 100. It's about the composition of each and every number and how we use it. So an example of number 7 again would be 3 and 4 make 7. Things like that. So we're using different elements of maths to support the composition of numbers. And then another one that we've really enjoyed and we've noticed a lot in Foundation Stage 1 and Foundation Stage 2 is subitizing. And this is something that was quite new to us. And although the children did it, it was something that we didn't really focus on. So this year we've had a really big focus on subitizing. And I will show you some examples. But subitizing is like when you're walking down the road and you spot some flowers. Oh, how many flowers can you see? And your child says 4. But they've not counted them. They've been able to look at that and say 4 really quickly, which is absolutely amazing. And that supports subitizing. And another example would be if they can see a number on a dice and they know that number is 6 already because they can see that pattern. And they're saying 6. And you said, oh, great, you haven't counted those. You were able to subitize it. So if your children come home and say, we've been subitizing today, you have an idea of what we've been doing. And then obviously a big one that we're learning at the moment in FS2 is number bonds. So the children by the end of the year should be able to recognize and to write or make their number bonds to 5. So they might be able to say 3 and 2 make 5, 1 and 4 make 5, and tell you a few of those numbers to 5. And then obviously some number bonds to 10. So that's 11 ways of making 10. And that's what we've been doing in Foundation Stage 2 the last 2 weeks. So you probably have heard about that one. And then moving on to numerical patterns. So verbally counting beyond 20. Obviously, like Ms. Hannah said, emphasizing those patterns. But now we should be able to do 3 color patterns, or we might be able to transfer that skill into doing, say, numbers. So 1, 2, 1, 2, or A, B, A, B, A, B. So it's different ways of making those patterns. They should be embedded coming up from FS1. And then obviously looking at greater than, less than, more than, and so on. So there's lots of language there that I'm not going to bombard you with. But obviously, if you do have any questions about any of these bullet points, please feel free to ask myself or Miss Hannah or even your class teacher, because they will be able to support you with helping your child at home if you think they are struggling in any of those areas. So I'm going to move on to some pictures now of the Foundation Stage 2. So we've got some children here that have been doing lots of lovely things to do with number. So these two on the left were they found number 5 and they found number 4. And they put them together, and then one of the little girls said, it's 54. Makes 54. The 2 numbers, they're there. They make the number 54. So I said to them, I challenged them. I said, so what else could we do with 54? They said, we could get 54 stones. So they spent ages trying to get these stones. Don't know whether they got to 54, but it was an absolutely amazing try. And I know they really helped each other with that and the counting 1 to 1 and looking at those bigger numbers, which was amazing. And then obviously a little girl in the middle, we've got the number bonds there to 5. So she had a really good go at trying to write her number bonds to 5. And then another little girl here on the right who is 1-to-1 correspondence here. So that she's matching the correct amount of rocket cubes to the rockets. So a number 7, she would match 7 rocket cubes there. So a little insight into our number. And then moving on to numerical patterns. We've got Max in the middle here, who was measuring his snake that he made himself. So that wasn't even something that he'd found in the classroom. He'd wanted to make a snake and he was measuring it. And he was using standard measurement, so a ruler. Some of the children might use Unifix cubes to measure. Some of the children might use their hands to measure. That's absolutely fine. We just show them the difference between non-standard and standard measurement. And then another example here, I will attach the video for you, is a little girl and she was doing number problems. And I know Miss Hannah and I discuss this all the time about number problems and how important it is. But it's not just about 4 add 1 making 5. It's about orally giving them those number problems. So if you're in a car and you're driving down the road and you say, oh, well, instead of playing I Spy, you might want to play a number problem game. So you might say, on the left, I can see 1, 2, 3, 3 cones. On the right, I can see 2 cones. How many altogether? So they're having to really think and solve that problem orally, and then obviously auditory, using their auditory memory there to find out the answer for that number problem. So I'd say that was a really good example. Even in foundation stage 1 is just to get them rolling with those number problems all the time outside of school.
The same as Sasha, the use of food always helps if you do number problems, because they seem to remember how to share or add together or find out how many they've got.
Definitely. Like sharing cookies. We've done that a lot, haven't we? Sharing cookies out for the teddies and things like that. So that is a great example. Thanks, Miss Hannah. And then obviously here, numerical patterns. And we've got the subitizing in the middle. We've got the patterns using colour, like FS1. And they might be doing 2 or 3 steps patterns, and then obviously the number ones there, but using part whole method to help them. And all these elements you can find using White Rose. So if you think, oh, I don't know about subitizing, I want to know more, I don't know about patterns, how can I help them? White Rose Maths is absolutely amazing for finding all those answers. Okay, so we thought that we'd share some tips and tricks for outside the school. And I know I've probably given you a few there when we were talking, but obviously we are in a lovely place and we all live in Dubai, and we have absolutely amazing landmarks here that the children see and not necessarily take in, but it's really good in the car again, or when you're walking around Dubai, that you might see some fantastic shaped buildings. And it was a really good idea to just talk about what shapes they are, or what does it look like, and just digging deeper into those math solving skills.
Sasha, can I just say one thing? Sorry, one thing that always makes us laugh, isn't it? Discussing 2D and 3D shapes, because we discuss it as teachers. Actually, a 2D shape you cannot pick up. So that's one to have a look at home when you're looking around, not just buildings.
Yeah, so 2D shapes we can draw and we can look at, but 3D shapes we can see all the different dimensions of them. So obviously 3D shapes are extremely important, especially where we live. Okay, and then we've got some other ones on number, haven't we, Miss Hannah? So we've got some lovely ideas here for you. So obviously just really, really simple things, but I think the children will love to do, and they probably won't even think that they are doing any math. So if you think, oh, my child really doesn't know the numbers 20, or my child really struggling with number 7 and what it looks like, and they're getting confused, house numbers are amazing. Lifts, numbers in lifts, on elevators. We are very lucky to have the opportunity to be in a lot of elevators and apartment blocks and buildings that have lifts. So that's a really good idea to get them to find the button. Obviously not stopping at every floor, but finding the correct button, finding that correct number. I gave you some other examples here of baking. Obviously that is mixed with mass and weight and capacity, as well as number. And then we've got things like going to the shops. And although we encourage the writing of those words, we still encourage the looking of those numbers and the writing of the numbers, so they could go around with you and find different prices, find out how much things cost, giving the money to the cashier. Things like that are really important and really simple and really fun. And things like, obviously, takeaway menus, you can find different numbers. So there's lots of ideas there that we can use on a day-to-day basis at home, but things that the children will really enjoy. And then our last one here is board games. And Miss Hannah, you love board games, don't you? And
that is just so important, yeah.
Loads of board games and just getting them playing games, taking turns, obviously finding numbers, counting, subitizing, using dice, counting how many steps, things like that are really important. And the last one there we've got is number formation. So this is something that the children can practice at home. They don't have to sit at a table and write it. They can do it in chalk outside. They can do it with a pot of water and a paintbrush, and the numbers disappear, especially when we've got all this lovely heat. They do disappear very quickly. So it's lovely, that magic maths element of it, not just sitting at a table and writing numbers. So lots of fun ways to engage your children. And I hope you've taken some ideas from us today of expectations for the end of the year, and obviously top tips for doing at home.
And I think that it is making maths fun, making mistakes, finding out, and it is that playing games. Like the biggest one that is like playing cards, matching, and also across links as well. So like memory games, which is really, really important for children, because that really helps with the maths and number patterns. You don't realise how as soon as they get a number pattern, it takes their maths on even further than you anticipate. But it's just exposure, and also just like with your children, it's like reading. They might remember it one day, not the next day, which is totally fine. And then just tell them, because again, memory is a big thing, and our memories all work in different ways. We have a short-term memory, and some people their longer-term memory takes a little bit longer. If you have any questions, I should have said this at the beginning, so apologies about that. There's a box where you can chat, you can pop some questions in. If you haven't got a question right now, I know there's parents' evening next week. I know the teachers have got lots of other tips and tricks themselves for your children. So I'm sure they'll be able to discuss it even further then for that opportunity. I know there's information on Seesaw, anything else, and we'll send those links out for the White Rose, and then we will make sure that this is, if you haven't been able to watch it now live, then you'll be able to watch it later on. And we're always here to support. Anything else, Miss Sasha?
No, nothing. Thank you so much for listening. Obviously, if you do have any questions, then feel free to reach out to myself or Hannah, or ask your class teacher. I'm sure they'll support you with lots of things to do with maths. All right.
Thank you very much, guys. See you later.
Right, bye.